So we talked about user based collaborative filtering, where we recommend items based on what people similar to you liked that you have not seen yet or experienced yet so much. And we talked about some of the user based collaborative filtering. So what if we flip it all on, instead of basing on relationship between people on items, we base them on relationship between items, and that's what item based collaborative filtering is. So this draws us on a view insights. For one thing, we talked about people being fickle, their tastes can change over time, so comparing one person to another person based on their past behavior become pretty complicated. People are at different phases where they have different interests, and you might not be comparing the people that are in the same phase to each other. But an item will always be whatever it is. A movie will always be a movie, it's never gonna change. Star Wars will always be Star Wars. Well, until George Lucas tinkers with it little bit, but for the most part items do not change as much as people do. So we know that these relationships are more impermanent, and there is more of a direct comparison you can make when computing similarity between the items, because we do not change over time. The other advantage is that there are generally fewer things that you are trying to recommend than there are people you are recommending. So again, 7 billion people in the world, you are probably not offering 7 billion things, so your website to recommend it to them, so you can save a lot of computational resources, okay, by evaluating relationship between items instead of users, because you probably have fewer items than you have users in your system, and that means you can run your recommendation more frequently, make them more current, more up to date. You can use more complicated algorithms because you have less relationship to compute, and that's good thing. It's also harder to game the system, so we talked about how easy it is to game a user based collaborative filtering approach by just creating some fake stuff that like a bunch of thing, and then a thing that you are trying to filtering with item based collaborative filtering, that becomes much more interesting. You have to game the system into thinking there are relations between the items, and since you probably don't have the capacity to create fake item with fake ties to other items based on many other users, it's a lot harder to game an item based collaborative filtering system, which is good thing. And while I am on the topic of gaming the system, another important thing is to make sure that people are voting with their general technique for avoiding ceiling attacks or people trying to game your recommender system. Make sure that the behavior that you are of is based on people actually spending money, so you are always gonna get better and more reliable results when you base recommendation on what people actually bought as opposed to what they viewed or what they clicked on. So let's talk about how item collaborative filtering works. It's very similar to user based collaborative filtering, but instead of users we are looking at items. So let's go back to the example of movie recommendations. The first thing we would do is find every pair of movies, every movie pairing that is watched by the same person. So we go through and find every movie that was watched by identical people, and then we measure the similarity of all those people who viewed that movie to each other. So by this means we can compute similarities between two different movies based on the ratings of the people who watched both of these movies. So I have a movie pair, maybe Star Wars or the Empire Strikes Back. I find a list of everyone who watched both of these movies. I compare their ratings to each other, and if they are similar, then I can say these two movies are similar because they are rated similarly by people who watched both of them. That's the general idea. That's one way to do. There is more than one way to do it, and then I can just sort everything by the movie, and then by the similarity strength of all the similar movies to it, and there is my result for people who liked, also liked, or people who rated this highly, also rated this highly, and so on and so forth. And like I said, that's just one way of doing it. So that's a sort of step one about item collaborative filtering. First I find relationship between movies based on the relationships of the people who watched every given pair of movies. It will make more sense when we go through the example. So for example, let's say that our nice young lady here watched Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and liked both of them, so rated them both 5 stars or something. Now along comes Mr. XG, who also watched Star Wars and the Empire Strikes Back and also liked both of them. So at this point we can say there is a relationship, there is a similarity between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back based on these two users who liked both movies. So what we are gonna do is, looking at each pair of movies, we have a pair of Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, and then we look at all the users that watched both of them, which were these two, and if they both liked, then we can say that there is a similar to each other of, or if they are, we can say that they are similar to each other right now. So we are just looking at the similarity scores of these two users' behavior related to these two movies in this movie pair. So along comes Mr. Mustachi and Mr. Man, this is third man, and he watches the Empire Strikes Back, and he lives in some strange world where he watched the Empire Strikes Back but had no idea that Star Wars, the first movie, existed. Well, that's fine. We computed a relationship between the Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars based on the behavior of these two people. So we know that these two movies are similar to each other. So given that Mr. Hipster Man liked the Empire Strikes Back, we can say with good confidence that he would also like Star Wars, and we can then recommend that back to him, and to his top movie recommendations. So you can see you end up with very similar thing in the end, but we have kind of whole thing, instead of focusing the system or relationship between people, we are focusing them on relationship between items, and those relationships are still based on the aggregate behavior of all the people that watched them, but fundamentally we are looking at between items and relationship between people. Got it? Alright, so let's do it. We actually have some Python code that will use pandas and all the various other tools at our disposal to create movie recommendations with a surprisingly little amount of code. So the first thing we are gonna do, show you item based collaborative filtering in practice. So we will build up people who watched, also watched, basically people who rated things highly also rated this thing highly. So building up this movie to movie relationship, we are gonna base it on real data that we got from the MovieLens project. So if you go to movielens.org, there is actually an open movie recommender system here where people can rate movies and get recommendation for new movies, and they make all the underlying things available for researchers like us. So we are gonna actually use some real movies rating data. It's a little bit rated like 10 years old, and so keep that in mind, but it is real behavior gonna be working with finally here. And we also use to compute between movies relationship, and the data in itself is useful. You can use that to say people who liked also liked. So let's say I'm looking at a web page for a movie. I can write then and there and say, if you like this movie, given that you are looking at it, you are probably interested in. You might also like these movies, and that's a form of recommender system, though we don't even know who you are. Even now it is really world data, so we are gonna encounter some real world problems with it. Our initial set of results are not gonna look good, so we are gonna spend extra time trying to figure out why, which is a lot of thing as a data scientist. Correct those things, go back around again and until that makes sense. And finally we will actually do item based collaborative filtering in its entirely. So we actually recommend movies to individual based on their own behaviors. And so let's do this. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually compute the first half of item based collaborative filtering, which is finding similarities between items. In this case we are going to be looking at similarities between movies based on user behavior, and we are gonna be using some real movies rating data from the GroupLens project. If you are go to grouplens.org, that actually makes publicly to researchers like us real movie ratings data by real people who are using the movielens.org website to rate movies and get recommendations back for new movies that they wanna watch. So we have included the data files that you need from the GroupLens dataset with the course materials, and the first thing we need to do is import those into a pandas data frame, and we really gonna see the full power of pandas in this example. It's pretty cool stuff. So the first thing, import the u.data file, that is a part of the movielens dataset, and that is a tab delimited file that contains every ratings in the dataset. So the way that this works is, even though we are calling read.csv on panda, we can specify a different separator than a comma. In this case it's a tab, and also we are basically saying take the first three columns in the u.data file and import it into a new data frame with three columns: the user ID, the movie ID, and the rating. And so what we end up with here is that it has a row for every user D which identifies some person, and then for every movie they rated we have the movie ID, which is just a numerical shorthand for a given movie. And so Star Wars might be movie 53 or something, and their rating 1 to 5 rates star. We have here a database, a data frame of every user and every movie they rated. Okay, now we wanna be able to work with movies titles so we can actually interpret these results more intuitively, and so we are gonna use their human readable names instead. If you are using a truly data, you had saved that to the end, because you do wanna be working with numbers that are more compact for as long as possible. But for the purpose of the example and teaching, we'll keep the titles around so you can see what's going on. So there is a separate data file with a movielens dataset called u.data, and it is pipe delimited, and the first two columns that we import will be the movie ID and the title of that movie. So now we have two data frames. R calls has all of the user, and M calls has all of the titles for every movie ID, and we can use this magical merge function in pandas to merge it all together. And what we end up with it something like this. Sorry, that was pretty quick. And so we end up with a new data frame that contains the user ID and rating for each movie that a user rated, and we have both the movie ID and the title that we can read and see what it really is. So the way to read this is user ID number 308 rated Toy Story 4 star, user ID 287 rated Toy Story 5 star, and so on and so forth. and we were keep this data frame, we see different ratings for different movies as we had go through it. Now the real magic of pandas comes in. And so what we really want is to look at relationship between movies based on of all the user that was each pair of movies. So we need at the end a matrix of every movie and every user and all the ratings that every user gave to every movie. And the pivot table command in pandas can do that for us. It can basically constructing a new table from a given data frame pretty much any way that you want it. So what we are saying here, take our ratings data frame up here and a new data frame called movie ratings, and I want the index of it to be the user IDs, and so we will have a row for every user ID, and I'm gonna have every column be the movie titles, and so I'm gonna have every title that encounter in that data frames, and each cell will contain the rating value if it exists. So let's go ahead and do that, and we end up with a new data frame that looks like this. Kind of amazing how that just put it and see NaN values that stands for not a value, and it's just how pandas indicate a missing value. So the way to interpret this is user ID 1 for example did not match the movie 1 to 900, but user ID 1 did watch 101 Dilemmas and rated it 2 stars. User ID 1 also watched 12 Angry Men and rated it 5 stars but did not watch the movie 2 Days in the Valley for example. So what we end up with here is a sparse matrix basically that contains every user and every movie, and at every intersection where a user rated a movie there is a rating value, okay, and you can see how that we can very easily extract vectors of every movie that our user watched, and we can also extract vectors of every users that rated a given movie, which is what we want. Sorry, collaborative filtering. If I wanted to find relationship between users, I would look at correlation between these, and if I wanted to find a correlation between movies for item based collaborative filtering, I can look at correlation between columns based on the user behavior, okay. So this is where the real flipping things on its head for user versus item based similarities comes into play. Now we are going with the item based collaborative filtering, so we want to extract columns, so let's do that next, and let's go ahead and all the users who rated Star Wars, we can see most people have in fact was rated Star Wars and everyone liked it. So at least in this little simple that we look from the head of the data frame, and so we end up with a resulting set here of user IDs and their ratings for Star Wars, and user ID 3 did not rate Star Wars for example, so we have a not a number value indicating a missing value there, but there is, that's okay. So we wanna make sure that we preserve those missing values so we can directly compare columns from different movies, and so how do we do that? Well, pandas keeps making it easy for us, and it has a growth function here that we can use Corwith function, and that will actually do a given column with every other column in the data frame and compute the correlation to give that back to us. So what we are gonna do here is use Corwith on the entire movie rating data frame, that's that entire matrix of user and movie ratings correlated with just the Star Wars rating column, and we are going to then drop all of the missing results with drop now, and so that just leaves us with items that actually had a correlation where there was more than one person that viewed it, and we will create a new data frame based on the results and look at the top 10 results. And so again, just to recap, we are going to build the correlation score between Star Wars and every other movie, drop all the not a number values, and so that we also have movie similarities that actually exist where more than one person rated it, and we are going to construct from the result and look at the top 10 results. And here we are, so we end up with this results of correlation scores between each of individual movies for Star Wars, and we can see, for example, a surprisingly high correlation score with the movie till there was a negative correlation actually with the movie 1 to 900, and every weak correlation with 101 Dalmatian. So now all we should sort this by similarities, and we should have the top movie similarities for Star Wars, right? Well, let's go ahead and just call order the resulting data frame. Again, pandas make it really easy, and we can say ascending equals false, and actually get it sorted in reverse order by correlation score. So let's do that, and okay, so Star Wars come out pretty close to top because Star Wars is similar to itself. But what's all this outer stuff? What the heck? Full Speed, Man of the Year, The Outlaw, and these are all fairly obscure movies that most of them I have never even heard, and yet they have perfect correlation with Star Wars. Now that's kind of weird, and so obviously we are doing something wrong here. And what could it be? Well, let's talk about that in our next lectures. It turns out there is a perfectly reasonable explanation, and this is good lesson in why you always need to examine your results when you are done with some sort of data science task. Questions the result, because often there is something you missed. There might be something you need to clean in your data. There might be something you did wrong. But you should also always look susceptibly at your result. Don't just take them on faith. If you do so, you are gonna get in trouble. Because if I were to actually like to recommendation to people who liked Star Wars, I would get fired. Don't get fired. Pay attention to your results. So let's dive into what went wrong in our next lectures.